See God be the glory. Happy Sabbath, church.
Happy day.
Even though it's quite cold out there, I think and I believe you are warm and it's warm in your hearts.
A woman said, "Rare woman, dear, I walk a woman ye pa. Now, so in 7 years, I would see the other. Moon a day, no a shake."
It has been a very long time since I stood in front of you here, and I'm so grateful to God that in all this He has been faithful. He has kept us alive.
And now, baby, I can't see her. Also, put in a hat and near chair when I put one some a check. Now, so now put Puma, put in a day in our neck or a huge hat and the chair. Yes.
I believe God has a way in everything that happens in a man's or a human being's life. If you watch roses very carefully, I've said this before, flower, rose is so beautiful that people love it. But you always see that beneath the roses, there are thorns and bushes.
Say a year you hear your friend Rosie, so I am a pa. Now, so I see in our and one in our and red and I
unless we forget the fact that we believers, those who believe in God, are at war with the evil one, we will always be disappointed, we will be discouraged when things happen the way that we do not expect.
Say a prayer, a TV for a year Christo, a year send your team here and the Bocasia, your name upon some airport. Now, a numerous send your team here to the beer, a special form, a vessel, where I said the way, and you know the other go.
So I'm so grateful that these quarters Sabbath school lessons, the guides we are going through are all pointing us to the controversy that is between good and evil, in the way they impact our lives each day. In every decision, in every situation we find ourselves, we are in the controversy.
Papa, any one enter. And when the Christopher Wadius, if you are that, the Susia, and no more you bet to the baby a baby, then they will say, it's a one to
and so I want to say again that even though we may find ourselves in difficult times, God is always very particular about our welfare, and He watches. And at the right time, He steps in.
Say, Baho, ne Abene Abutua, ye, then can you say, ye, when Yapon, that Nakuma Sopa. Now, baby Biara, ye, for Yanamo, ye too, if you are when Yapon, kind of hay.
If we have time this afternoon, I think it has been announced that there will be a workshop. It will be question and answer hall where we may exchange some ideas. So it's not going to be a workshop as such, but if we are able to meet at all, we're going to have some discussions where I will probably have the opportunity to make some pronouncements as well.
I'll see again, send it down one man, they are sending me a better check will be now your church and your man, if you ain't inside, then one may say, I say, we sat anyway. And then I'm a year, and I'm a dear, and I be here. And it's a year, saying, I'm my pint, that's this year. Or so was said, or what, this summer will be up for the baby.
Some of them you probably know already, but I don't want to add that to what I'm doing now. So I want to leave everything like that off and go straight to what is before me.
Yamaka Massam, anyway, in the I know what is Nti okasa wiye ya na sori wiya wiya no sabe no ene bia besa ma ye bon de mai.
As you know, today is Family Ministries Day, and also behind me you can see the emblems that are covered, showing that we also have a sacred service moment.
Na sena yi na nyimu no ena aye abusuya eda ena yike ni anso hwe ye chi ha emu se ye amaka bo ha eye Awurade adidi emu niema a ni Awurade beto nsa adidi enya homene.
I will ask each person here to be praying for me because it is not easy to combine these two major things and do it well. So, having been in the pews for such a long time, I believe I will need some restraint to do both things in the best way.
Say obesra pampia say okon empaye amanu say enapon say obeka say dwumadie akakraka mini abom aya bia eho emase aso ni nyem ye empaye a ye babo no ebetumi aboa no ama pe wanya akwankyere papa obefa so say dwumadie mi bi nyina no ebetumi adi a eho emma ase.
I tried to kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Say ode oba baako ye say ode kum enumanu.
I don't know if you have tried that before.
Yeah,
most of you who have lived in the village before, I used to go into the bush and I was competing with my brother who would kill more birds.
Mo amatere grass no, say me say no. Say okọ ewuram so oni nua pani. Na mo kitatai. Ni nua kuma na mo kitatai. Na mo to
and so it's not easy to use 1 stone to kill 2 birds, but sometimes it happens. I'm not going into this shooting bit of business. Let me bring it home. Today, because there are 2 programs, I tried to apply that which I tried some time ago. With the same principle, that maybe I can get a story where we'll be able to combine these 2 major services together and get something.
Say, you know, send you now to the above Kumumami. San Caswana, no person, or the Edijuma, and then say you may be a no, but you can be now a bomba, now pay for the Ayat Juma.
And so, looking into the stories of the Bible, that of Joseph appealed to me so much, and fortunately for me, I look for information, I look for what has been done about these stories. As you know, many stories and many sermons have been preached about Joseph.
Now, say Joseph, about Semini, Nani Ajamo, Awaya and Shamu and so I was about Semino, Naini, about Samudia, I was Joseph one year. Be a little bit brave, and the Aya, sorry, I would go Ama.
First, I want to ask myself, why at all does God tell us so many stories in the Bible instead of giving us what each day we should be doing?
Say, I hope say, I then one my afasem will be brave. I want to say, now and Cadabia, the say, like what I say, what I say,
no, if you pick the Bible, there are 10 commandments. There are just 10. And besides that, there are other ceremonial laws, social laws, and all those. But there are many, many stories, and this is the point I'm making. Many, many stories. But these stories are, according to some commentators, the theology in the Bible in books. In other words, theology in practice.
Says you read some more, wrestling do not, you have a pen and a war, and I pay your war, a brabum rack, a door, and so a war, trusting. Now, such was some prayers, and a person will be brave, and a woman was said the woman sooner a year, trusting and someone. wɔse saa abasɛm ni boa yɛn ɛma yɛn daadaa yɛasetena mu deɛ wɔse yɛyɛ ɛne afɛyie bi yɛ wɔse yɛ.
And before I go to read the passage again, I want to ask this question that many of you might have asked even today.
Say ansa no bɛkɔtɔ sɛ mu na afei akenka nsɛm a ɛkenka yɛ no wɔse yɛsi so aduabio no ɔbɛbusa yɛn asɛm bi sɛnea ɛbibiara na ɛyɛ a ne nipa bi bɛbusa wɔ ho.
Listen to the question. Maybe you have an answer. Even though it is very commonly asked. This is the question. Where is God when bad things happen to good people? And somebody wanted to qualify it and say reasonably good people, because being good is relative. Church, do you have an answer to this question? Where is God when bad things happen to good people?
Say when I'm
Do you have an answer? Yeah. There is a hand there.
God is still sitting on his throne. He has not moved. It's us who have moved. So he's still sitting at the right place where he was. So when all these things are happening, he's still sitting on the throne.
In other words, our sister is drawing our attention to the fact that God is still at the same place.
Yeah.
And so whether it is good that is happening to us or bad that is happening to us, he still remains who he is. Our brother wants to give his own version.
Another one I can add to what Mr. Otima said is that, God didn't promise us that when we become a Christian, we become problem free. He said that we should take his yoke, and the yoke is troubles. Yeah, it will happen to us when you give yourself. Jesus said that if you follow him, you find many troubles. You have many pains. So if you become a Christian and you want everything to go on so good for you, means you have to question your Christianity, because that's not the promise Jesus gave us. Christianity, we have to fight through fire, because all those patriots here we read about, they didn't find life easy. Some were put into prison, some were killed. So if you're a Christian, you want always to live a cozy life and no problem and everything going well, and the devil is not attacking you, then you have to question your Christianity.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes, Christo did a chino, what's all in my and he said, see, upon a same Diana, yes, to the Beppo Howny, our Amania Emu, and you see, when I'm young, she was a very Christo one. Let us say, your how do you be my son? And Tidania Costo a church, who said, so your Christo Yamapa, Nasa or how near the Bessa Emma Pemudia, and then I saw Yamisum a year. He said, let us say, as a Musabi Emma.
Thank you for that comment also. I think many of you will agree that when you become a Christian, most of the time when we are praying, our prayer is that God should solve all our problems for us. We love to have a smooth ride where there's no problem, where everything is just prosperity. That's what we want to hear.
so be any no how we are any no and I come at.
But the Bible tells us a different story.
As to some no and can pass some for cry and what being
and one of these stories or these messages is given in the story of Joseph. Another comment somebody made is that these stories provide us with a canvas on which we can see our own lives being implicated there. We do read or hear about these people, and what we hear about them help us to understand our own situation, what happens to our lives. And so, coming to the story of Joseph, there is a family that Joseph finds himself in. He's one of 12 sons of Jacob. And among these 12 sons, he happens to be the most favored one. But sometimes something happened that his own brothers decided they don't want to see him any longer. And this happened even when he has been sent to go and give them provisions, to go and see to how their conditions were, and come and bring reports so that they could be catered for. That was the time they arrested him and decided they must finish with him.
And the Papa said, Joseph, we never so on for a piano, and commanding Yanom, I was saying so our tree. Now it's one tea among your boy, now Bethia, but it's among your bonus so up of Nature Joseph. Now a hawk and an Indian a fire, now see Joseph now come.
Let me pause and ask the church again. Always we have been talking about Joseph and what the brothers did, but sometimes we don't even try to question what Jacob himself did.
Joseph to make one some pass, I didn't know yes. Now, she and Tenance, and so I can say, not Joseph Conso, Jacob Conso. I didn't know yes, so much do you, where you are question was it, open us.
Out of these 12, Joseph was not the first. He was even the 11th, almost at the end of them all. So how did he gain so much favor to the extent that he became an enemy of his own blood brothers?
Was it? There are Joseph, one year of penny. Now, a year, Nanny Papa, a pound, one assam, as I can't also say, do ever. Now, Papa, a dinner near a city base, open as a mamma, baby, or a town for a man.
But I ask myself again, and I'm asking you as a church,
say, I know son of Master
was Jacob aware that the other brothers were not happy?
Now, Joseph, now when you pay, said, leave me on pen as a man. Jacob, now when you pay, said, and yet Joseph, no one pay Joseph as a man.
I'm asking you, do you think he was aware?
What did you say, Jacob, now when you?
The young people there are discussing that. What do you think? Somebody says he knew, eh?
He said that Jacob, when he said, Joseph,
so what as a father, what did he do?
And it's not a jam, so when he passed, who made a do, and pay Joseph as someone.
This is is where I want to bring our family life in. That in our homes, sometimes we nurse the problem that our children are going to face in future. We continue helping them to grow the problem. In the end, we begin to play the part as if we are unaware where the problem started.
Say, aha, and a busua, a day, or person, a sister, a someone, a two Joseph, and Indian. What say a busua, a to the beer, your man, to be a woman. Now you said, at the pony be a bad action. No, was here just one, young Castle, yes, and the bonny and I was say the now pay other not a James.
But friends, church members,
I don't know any of
you are a parent and you ignore disciplining the children when they go wrong. You are going to reap in your lifetime what they are doing. Say,
yeah, I will wait. Say, I'm paying in Sipon. Nothing for them, the man who are here and come winning. Near Jaja almost saw some of your Butrima. I paid yet, bear that and no.
Did Jacob reap what he sowed?
Now, Jacob, I will be I am
Ellen White comment says that when Jacob, at the end of the year or any occasion, at any occasion when he was giving gifts to his sons, he sat them according to their ages and give them gifts. He will go from the first to the next and to the next until he gets to the place where Joseph was supposed to be seated. And then he will stop weeping.
Say, and Jim White in your band can send me a bar, Jacob Abraham, and your kindness of Sapidu, Nasa Joseph, Chen Manu, and Yama, or Jacob, Chen Manu, Yama, or the Kodamit Nasa and Penim, Ecosi, and Kodam. Now they were for me at the Omacha Ammo. Now so do Joseph and Numudia, and the year now way and although each other. Not until.
Why? Because his brothers have sold him and come to tell a lie that he is dead and any man has eaten him.
If he said, now I didn't have a country and say, a woman near Joseph, no, I will be archinary, and Winty and a winning. Until a Bibiano, I feel you know a teacher, now Joseph, I couldn't really is myself on Tiasa.
Friends, I want to say that there is nothing wrong in having one of your children as a favorite. But it depends on how you make that favorite child the problem child in the family.
I don't know what to say. Oh, who soon be a woman, said, money in a over to me after Baton, I said, open us some part. Nemo, she said, now open us some, and Mary at this one can see a walk that was.
You cannot love all your children equally. You can love them the way they are. Because some of them, when you tell them to do something, they won't even bother you. Your love towards that one may not be exactly the same as the other. It doesn't mean you hate that child. But sometimes the relationship will have some little friction somewhere.
Or say, Obia ni wa on pay the bass. Obia pay the bass. Now so to the beer, yeah, man, who can be rich and say, yeah. On yet, and until Yana one year says Subina or and my own pet Abalana Sam was signing Subina. And into a down one to the beer, a yana and Sasan Kakra, and they said, Ya will be a young one, and no and other so my old Donald so a good a massacre.
I hope I'm not talking blasphemy.
No.
Because I'm wondering how if my child, among my children, there is one of them who will get up early in the morning and come and find out what I'm doing. Anything I'm doing, he will be there and he will do everything for me. If that person is just the only one who is doing that among them, there is no way that I will not have a little bit of preferential treatment towards that.
I don't say, I want me to move in on the car, on one year. Now, possibly, say, no matter what, say, and I'll be young, the man who move out, or back, I'll see what's up. Let us say, what did he? Now, also, before we mount, when you say mount, the Piana does up down or should be here. The being much less as I'm money in lemon. Some banner or should be here, men man or dollars.
And so I wouldn't want to take all the time because we want to get into other services today. Let's finish out these few points. Let's finish out these few points. Before I do that, let's hear what Joseph said. When his brothers finally appeared before him and his dream came true. When they appeared before him and his dream came true, they were terrified. And this is what he told them. That's
Joseph now Joseph who said, I was so young, a pain and a bemu, or seven young, or a dream. Now, dear Joseph, a child.
I'm reading from Genesis 45, verse 4 to 8. If you have time, you can read the whole passage because it makes it more attractive. It tells you where the whole thing began and how it got to that end.
So, in KMP, most of the kind of it is a more and 9 episode.
Verse 4 going says, so Joseph said to his brothers, come near me, please. Listen to the tone. Come near me, please. He wasn't an angry and someone who was about to pounce on them.
Say, Joseph, I can't tell him so. Monkey and men, Pamcho, or someone kind of proposal, Abby. They won't come on Brazil, say, Monkey man, William.
And they came nearer, and he said, I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. And now, do not be distressed or angry with yourselves, because you sold me here, or because you sold me here. For God sent me before you, and before you to preserve life. For the famine has been in the land these 2 years, and there are yet 5 years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvesting. And God sent me before you to preserve for you a remnant on earth, and to keep alive for you many survivors. So it was not you who sent me here, but God. He has made me a father to Pharaoh, and Lord of all his house, and ruler over all the land of Egypt. Amen.
Amen. Was a woman, I tried the 9 teaching 9 was what came out to me. Was an Joseph catch there, in your say, one penny, now what people now I say. Many Joseph were more torn about the Zoom. Now I pay more and young ya, and so who aim for say, torn me back. If we said, in quite year, ain't any when I upon Sumami, a dim, now in fear you near a come about assassin so. Now I can't in fear any you are, Puntum any will try anything. Now when I upon Sumami, a dim when him. Sir, remember Munya in Kaye or Assassin. Now, name yet. Adama, go no, Ara every, and what channel. Now, and young Musuma, Neba. Then won't Munyam and Academy, Abaya said, Pharaoh Ledger, and in the PA in Ebra, and in the stream assassin in our so as to before. Amen.
You know, before the points, we were trying to consider whether Jacob was doing his job as a father in the house to make sure that discipline is maintained.
Say, I shall see you. Now you see you say, Jacob, I know ye, Jan. Say, to me, Emma, as soon be about the fear, I say, be a never be possible, and go to me, I can. Ama, as soon be about your work now.
I think he did so much. But only that he was not perfect, and sometimes and the way he approached issues, especially like that of Joseph, when he was favored and the brothers were not happy, and he didn't bother to sort that problem out.
Ɔsi ɛhwɛ Jacob abrabɔ mu a nka ɛfa abusua mu teteɛ sɛ ɛma teteɛ deɛ ɔbɔ ne ho mɔden paa na mmom na ne si ntɔn no ɛwɔ dɔ a sonko a na ɔde ma Joseph a ɛma a yawudie ɛba a ɔne ne nua no ɛntɛ.
Why should I say he did well?
Adi nti na sɛ meka sɛ ɔbɔ ne ho mɔden.
Here is a man with 4 wives.
Wɔyi na ɔyɛ
12 children.
ɔbɛrima a na ne yerenom ɛyɛ 9.
12 children.
Now we can man so much.
The 12 children were the boys. The girls are not counted here.
Or say the medal you remember one year time, man, I'm going.
And so to raise people from different moms to the extent that they will all listen and work together. And also at some point some of them will make sure that something right is done. Was not easy. That's why Judah was selected among them to be the one with the scepter of rulership. Because when they were all going to kill their brother, he was the one who suggested, no, it's not right, we can't kill our brother.
Say, I want to say, Jacob, one of more than he said, Sabi and Quada, as soon as we are in the mammy, and as a mammy, a good one. So better to woman when you know and ya adwin kro and ya dia e dem nanso Jacob born who one day e wo mu e say san for dan omo tete ne to da bia na ebinim ho ho pese e dem nyina ya pepe pese wo ye wei ama we mi nua wei mu dia e say so say wo ye saa de no e bi e ma nanso Jacob e born who one day e wo saa nkoda no etete emu eye ba na numu na ne mani nyina Judah no oyi no sɛ onni ɛyɛ ne ma no nyinaa wɔn so apani ɔnkura ahempoma ɛwɔ abusua no mu ɛno nti na ɛberɛ a wɔn kyerɛ Joseph na wɔn pɛ sɛ wɔn ku no ɔsi dɛbi okum deɛ yɛtumi nkum yɛ nua na mmom ɛwɔ sɛ sɛtɔn deɛ bɛtɔn no deɛ ɔsi ɛtɔn.
In other words, I will say that Jacob did teach his children about God.
Eti na mepɛ sɛ mekyerɛ sɛ Jacob wɔ hɔ yi no.
And the principles that being God's people involves or entails.
Now, sir, when you want you will never be one year.
And so, for Jacob to be able to instill this in his children was not a mean achievement. He did something good.
I don't see it to be and pass it. Say Jacob went to me at the tin May. I'm a good baby. Woman, that's about what you get, Gina. Like I said, I would hear now go for HDR. And then just said, Jacob, in fact, one more day, I won't that tin.
But we see it most in the life of Joseph himself. Joseph, who had to go through all these different environment, different types of treatment, where at home he was a favorite, and somewhere he became a slave, somewhere he was tempted, somewhere he was at the point of even being killed. All those things he happened to go through. In the end, for him to come and say, God sent me.
Say, Jacob, what a tin man a year power when I'm soon. Na yehu ne kase pa ewo Joseph abrabom se Joseph amane wo fam enyina se pedro ba bi kura no ni nua no pese wo kunu na ni nyina emu no opra ne ho ase na pe ya beka nso eye Pharaoh ayire nso aso no ehweye na pe osan koda abiase edimu atete enyina no to bi gira ne nanso emu ni nua no eka kire ni nua no se hwe enya mo na mo de ba ha. And
even when he was telling his brothers, you didn't bring me here, that was a fulfillment of his dreams. But at the same time, he was giving them another prophecy. That this time, you came because you're hungry. You've been hungry for 2 years. You still have 5 years. You're going to be hungry. So go and bring my dad, and all of you, bring your family. Come, I'm going to feed you. I'm going to take care of you.
say a brother Joseph catching in Yano. I said, a young woman in the bar, and a young man in the bar. Next, I said, a year, watching someone when you're come and all down and be a chair. Then you know, actually, what catching in Yano, I said, share, and you knew better come an hour. I can't you a poem as I ever. And it's winning. Move for my papa. Me, Benjamin, Omudina, not move for Emma.
Friends, I want to ask you which part or where in Joseph's story do you see yourself?
And the end of the person who said, Joseph, a problem and Semina. So what the two ones of our problem, and he for Papa and I will Joseph a problem.
Have you gone through any of those experiences that he had before? Or are you still going through some of them? And how are you reacting to it? How are you living to standard, to expectation as a Christian, as someone who happens to know God or trust in God? How are you responding to that?
See, here, now I'm fine. Joseph, how of fire and what a movie. If you're planning and praying, Joseph, how do you do one so one end? Nasa how say and I would die with Christo Abra X-ray. I was how family.
These few points have been picked, and I want to give that before I end this sermon. And that is
say, oh, I save your wife. What they are actually what I say only.
Looking at the importance of Joseph's story, we learn these few things. One of them is that whenever there is crisis leads us to grow.
Say, and Pasudia Bacon, young Joseph Abrabon emu and say, was it every year or how many of the Bresset a buy a brabo? Sir, or how a boy and my
Joseph was being pampered, but through some crisis, he learned to be on his own, no longer Papa's favorite, but even a slave. And yet, he learned to manage to the extent that his bosses, his owners, his slave owner, decided, I'm not going to take care of anything. You are the manager now. A slave turned into a manager.
Say, Joseph Abrabodia. Now, Papa didn't swam and it's my day. Now, pay what Papa saw at Tibia away in Emma. Was a Satibiana and a upper winning. Emma and poor walk and for soon. None and cough one and penny for our soon woman. Oh, my head, I go to baby say, I pay you. 1 year ago, you never met near ma. A year, the first one.
The next point is that when we face temptation, it leads to 2 possible destinations.
Say, and so he be ever your problem one. Was it, and proper you knew at the in a AC.
First, either that temptation leads us to fail or to succeed.
Since, and so he not ever your problem one. The idea can say, it be a Fias. Say, I'm Fiasia, your person will say. And yet, my union was.
We achieve either victory or defeat when we are tempted.
Was it, the young woman before, and now said, the year I accept for Brad and so get by a brother.
And so I'm asking you, in your experience, what temptations have been coming your way? You might not have a choice to make whether I want this kind of temptation to come or not. But whether you like it or not, as a Christian, the devil is never going to back down. He's always going to follow us. And he will press forward until he gets you into one of those temptations. When that happens, is that going to encourage you to grow victoriously? Or is that going to destroy your growth? Are you going to be defeated?
I say, a priest of Wayne, say, Tim Biaran upon some and in Soviet ever bias. I said, in Soviet ever bias. Yen ye or Pebia said, San Sovereign and Pesse, a bounce, baby, on some in so review or pet and a bounce. Nasa San Sovereign about so, over to me, Edina, said, who did not know you before, I'm on Yami. And Nasa San Sovereign, a bit more fias, how you Yakupon and Peter Mudino, a best cry.
Let me clarify the point of temptation because in our Kan language, we have only one word for temptation, for test, for trial, for tribulation. And so when we say temptation, you may misplace it and think of maybe a test or a trial. A test can be given even by God himself. He tested Abraham. He tested him. So that's different.
See, I'm for your castle, your car temptation. The Gasama pet and a year, home, I said, and so and I said, you want simple baby. Now, so you know, you had in so many pet in the general. Now, say, in so him when I compare to the sovereign, the fair Abraham, when I'm sorry, some funny about the pet and for one.
So, in this particular point of temptation, I'm talking about the only thing that the devil only brings. Temptation doesn't come from God, and it doesn't come from any angel of God. Only the devil brings temptation, and the purpose, objective of this kind of experience is to destroy your faith, is to bring you down, is to put you to shame, to make sure that you don't continue as a good Christian.
I say, a year and so here, a part Joseph, a sway, Eddie, a Boansi, and a son, so and ever. And you know, and a distance of him, and I know Yamia Buffalo, and a desire and so him. They won't on some of the bar, Sabaya, or Pessa and Gracia ever come. And now say, we have soon a woman over here.
Now, the last but one point is what somebody termed mine and yours, which can also always destroy our family lives.
Say the war and so and said, be and so in some webby at church and said, a woman and a woman, and also the Tawanta would be about this.
You know, when two people get married and they have nothing, they are so happy they begin because they have each other.
Says, if I knew a common dog, a woman, I shall send a tata papa. We're to the night crowd with person Pajano. So we are done young about.
The point there is that they have each other.
I
have my wife has me.
And no, get on one year, so maybe and a one so me so I am.
But the problem comes when each one of them begin to pick what is mine and what is yours.
Now, how much shall see about a war on my own friend? Beman to be drunk as a way a media, by nobody. No one to say, way a media, Beman, we are nowhere.
The moment that demarcation sets in, when you begin to identify what is mine and what is yours, you have problem because right from that time you are going to have issues, you are going to have conflicts, and it's not going to stop. So you come to the point where you can identify that everything is for us.
Say, Sir. Some of the bomber, my one room, and as my young film, say, wait a media. When you say, wait, so I am media, a white penna or how I shall see it about the Suyan. As I how about Suyan one, and son of the two years, not if a woman, Munya, I didn't cross, like I said. A dear, a Kayawodia, and as a dear Kayawodia, and Cecilia, a year.
Friends, do you know that the devil is very happy when you get to that point?
When you saw on some need to pay, one shall say, I say, wait a minute, I know the
enjoy that very, very well.
I say, what now about something
because he will give you so many quotations, he will give you become so what? So wise in your own self that you think you have attained the point. After all, I earned this money. After all, I worked harder. After all, I did this, I did that.
Say, or someone did, the honor of some shall say, I did it was some degree, Amamo. Now, what shall say? I say, I said, you mammy, you see, come and yes, I was kind of the mood. Men are the sick, it was like a party with the years.
I am the man. I married you.
Men are one who, no,
I am the woman. In this country, women are in authority.
I had no promote them. I
want my own council flat. And to get that, I must tell the government I've divorced you. Mine. You know definitely whether that man is your husband, you love him. Because you want something that is mine. You go and tell people, tell authorities that that person has nothing to do with me.
Now, so who one as I would be a who pass a gay radio to possess you because I have any engine. Walk of them, catch it on say, Bema, we can, needing it. That will break time.